land water relationship also one factor in distributing the temperature. Okay, when insolation received on the earth's surface, that insolation varies depending on the water bodies and land bodies. Understand? Land is a good conductor of heat. It means heat is transformed from one place to another place on the land part. And whereas water bodies are heated up very slowly. So land gets heated very fast and becomes cool very quickly than the oceans. Oceans in the sense of water bodies. It takes long time to become heat and also become the cool. So what do we see here? There is a difference in the absorption and release of heat from land and water bodies. Due to this difference, we see the temperature is different at land part and water part. Here it is land breeze. What we see here, there land breeze in the sense wind blowing from the land part. Okay, it may be daytime or night. Okay, so here you see that it is a slide showing you the land breeze that is blowing towards the sea from the land, especially at night, that is land breeze. Okay, so sea breeze means then the wind blowing from the sea towards land is called sea breeze. Okay, so what is land breeze? A breeze blowing towards the sea from the land. Okay, so due to the temperature differences recorded on the land and water bodies, there land breezes and sea breezes are formed. Okay, here you look at that, it is a sea breeze. That means wind blowing from ocean to the land. Okay, so here what do we see? Land becomes very fast heat. Land becomes heat very fast than the water bodies. So where do we find high temperature? We find high temperature on the land part. For example, 30 degrees centigrade temperature is recorded on the land part, for example. Okay, whereas on the ocean the temperature is recorded some 20 degrees Celsius, because water bodies become heat very slowly than the land part. So the temperatures are different here. So when temperatures are different at land part and water part, what happens here? There land and water absorbs the heat differently. So due to that, the temperature recorded on the land is different from the water body. For example, 30 degrees centigrade temperature is recorded on the land part and 20 degrees centigrade temperature is recorded on the water body, right? So here this difference of temperature of the land and water leads to the formation of land breezes and sea breezes. So here the 30 degree centigrade temperature is higher to the 20 degree centigrade temperature. So here hot air, hot air rises up on the land part, and this hot air starts blowing towards the sea. Look at the arrow marks are shown towards the sea. And 20 degree centigrade is lower to the 30 degree centigrade on ocean. So due to the less temperature on ocean, cool air wind, that means cool wind blows from oceans to the land part. Okay, so the cool air coming from ocean to the land part decreases the temperature recorded on land part. How much it is recorded? 30 degrees centigrade. And this will be reduced to some 22 or some 25. Okay, this happens at daytime. So on the daytime, the land part which is near to the ocean will experience cool air coming from the ocean, and temperature will be somewhat less than the actual temperature due to the ocean present, that means water body present near to the land part. And this becomes reverse in the night time. We know that water bodies releases heat very slowly than the land part. Okay, now let me show you that what happens in the night. Okay, when there is no sun, right? So during the night time, this is the slide showing night time. So where do we find high temperature? We find high temperature on ocean. Okay, because ocean releases, means water bodies releases heat very slowly. So here it is some 25 degrees centigrade temperature is there because it is releasing slowly. Land releases and absorbs very quickly the heat. So heat is released very fast from the land. So for example, here 20 degree centigrade temperature is recorded. So where do we find high temperature? On the ocean part, right? So it is night time because water body releasing heat very slowly, so that their high temperature is recorded. And this high temperature on ocean creates hot hot winds, that is hot wind blowing from ocean to the land part. Okay, on the land part the temperature is 20, it is cool, and this coldness on the land is reduced, that means the coldness is turned to warm. Okay, it turns to warm by the hot air coming from the ocean, that is called sea breeze. So the sea breeze in the night time increases the temperature on the land part which is near to the ocean, so it becomes some 23 degrees centigrade at night time. And daytime, here we see that 25 degrees centigrade temperature is recorded. So every day in all the seasons, the temperatures recorded on the land part near to the water bodies are more or similar less. Okay, that means always equal temperatures are recorded on the land part which is near to the water bodies instead. So why does we find these equal temperatures in all the seasons, and month by month, January to December, and day and night we experience uh, equal temperatures recorded on the land? It is because of distribution of temperature on water bodies and land part. You know, land absorbs very fastly and releases very fastly the heat. Water bodies absorbs heat very slowly and releases very slowly, so that there the temperatures will be different, and there will be influence of the sea breezes on the land part in the night time, and the daytime the land breezes influences the water sea ocean temperature instead. So here there is a relationship of land and water in receiving the temperature. So temperature received on a place, that means temperature recorded on a place due to the insolation received there, depends on water and land relationship. Okay, so it is another factor which influences the temperature is land water relationship. Okay, before this we have seen that latitude also one factor. Now what is atmospheric heating? Okay, we know that atmosphere is heated by the earth radiation. Okay, look at this slide. What do you see here? Here you see that earth's surface is covered with a thin layer that is called atmosphere. Here it is, atmosphere. Understand? What is there here? Atmosphere is there. Okay, so the earth surface covered with atmosphere, which is mixture of several gases. So when solar radiation is coming towards earth, in that some amount of solar energy is reflected back means reflected to the space by the atmosphere. Okay, and some amount of solar radiation is allowed onto the earth surface. So earth surface becomes heat. Understand? First earth surface becomes heat. When it becomes heat, that heat received by earth is reflected, that means radiated into the atmosphere. Then atmosphere starts becoming heat. It means that atmosphere records temperature due to the radiation of the earth surface. So when earth surface radiates excessive heat into the atmosphere becomes heat. So that is the thing, we find high temperatures at lower layers of the atmosphere, and lower temperatures recorded at higher layers of the atmosphere. Atmosphere consists of many layers. So at lower layers means layers which are near to the earth surface. Okay, in atmosphere at lower layer the temperature is high than the layers which are above in atmosphere. So here atmosphere becomes heat by the radiation of the earth, and that what we call terrestrial radiation. Earth is called terrestrial. So as earth reflects, it is called terrestrial radiation. So atmosphere becomes heat by the radiation of the earth. When does earth radiates? When earth receives excessive heat, then the excessive heat is released into the atmosphere. So in that way, atmosphere becomes a heat instant, right? Some of the infrared radiation passes through the atmosphere and some is observed and re-emitted in all directions by green gas molecules. So here we see that Earth is releasing excessive heat. Excessive heat means more heat than required one. Okay. So in that way, always Earth maintains a balance in receiving the heat. That is called heat balance. What we call heat, heat, heat balance. Okay. Excessive heat is radiated into the atmosphere by Earth. What happens if the Earth does not radiate excessive heat? It becomes hot and hotter, so that Earth becomes a fireball. There won't be place for living on the Earth, right? So always it maintains a balance in absorption of heat. So if Earth does not receive any heat, that means if Earth becomes cool, if it releases more heat, what will happen? It becomes cold. Okay, so that Earth turns to very cold and cold region, so that it is also not suitable. So it is a very important thing, maintaining heat balance. So Earth maintains a balance in receiving the heat and releasing excessive heat into the air, right? So what we call it is heat balance. So what makes the Earth what to call to maintain this heat balance? It is the greenhouse gases. Which gases? Greenhouse gases. That is carbon dioxide, CO2. Which one? CO2, carbon dioxide, and some other gases. They what to call observe. They maintains a balance here. Some gases like carbon dioxide prevents radiation of heat from the Earth's surface. So which is thing here? Carbon dioxide. When there is a limited carbon dioxide on the Earth's surface, it prevents some of the heat radiating into the atmosphere. In that way, we see that warmness is maintained on the Earth. But when carbon dioxide increases much more in atmosphere due to the burning of the diesel, petrol, and removing the forest cover, the increased carbon dioxide does not allow the heat of the earth into the atmosphere, so that the heat is not allowed into the space by the atmosphere, because atmosphere is filled with a lot of carbon dioxide. So gradually the heat on the earth's surface increases. What we call it is a global warming. If the carbon dioxide proportion in atmosphere increases, then the less heat is radiated into the space. So much of the heat is not allowed and stored on the earth's surface, which is leading to increasing the temperature across the world, is called global warming. So global warming takes place when the carbon dioxide increases on the earth's surface. So why does the carbon dioxide increases on the earth's surface? It is by burning the water diesel and burning the water petrol, right? And further, what we see that removing the forest cover. Okay, so this is the what greenhouse gas effect.